Yes, gerade dazu gekommen.
Okay, perfect. I will share my screen. Good. So welcome to this first time special edition of Meetup, which came because I saw something on LinkedIn that I needed to know a little more about. We are going to talk today. First, I will share what's coming in the next Meetup. Then we have an agenda from Sven and Sören with Sören test management, Sören test runner, and test suite with end-to-end parameters. And we have some use cases, contact form to inquiry, trading fair order, procure to pay. And I think that's Sven and Sören will deep dive a little more into the agenda from their side after this. And then we have some discussions. So the organization team, as always, Jørgen, do you want to go first?
Yes, thanks, Lone. My name is Jørgen Schladoth. I'm working for Avanade as a solution architect for Dynamics 365 Customer Engagement and Power Platform. And yeah, I'm glad to be part of this organizational team for the past 2 years.
And Ludwig?
Yep, that's me, Ludwig. Finance and technical specialist at Microsoft, and working together with Lone, who is helping to organize this meeting here. So Lone, over to you.
Yes, I'm doing the same as Ludwig. My background is from Denmark, and in my past in Denmark, I also did test management, which is why this is even more interesting for me. So yes, let's move on. The next meetup will be on the 25th of May. I will share some links in the chat so that you can join for the next meetup. And in the next meetup, we have Jonathan Miller, who will tell us about Syntax, which is a document handling program that we are really looking forward to seeing if we can use with Dynamics. Then we have Theodora, who is from our Fast Track team at Microsoft. She will tell a little about how Fast Track is working and also demo the new process advisory. And there will be it will be possible to ask a lot of questions to her. During this meetup, please mute your microphones. I talked to Sven and Søren, and we agreed that questions will be in the chat because we are so many today. If you have something that just has to be asked in that minute, of course, feel free to ask, but otherwise try to put them in the chat so we can get all the questions in. And then after the demo, we will take a discussion about what we have seen. And be constructive, of course, because this is not a Microsoft event. This is our spare time. We are here because we want to learn from each other. So yes, Sven and Søren are our presenters today, and I will put also their LinkedIn profiles in the chat so you can connect to them. And there's also a link to the Søren app. After we are finished, we have some discussions, and then thank you for joining us. Good. So over to you, Sven and Søren.
If you please jump back to the agenda, that would be perfect.
Oh, yes,
Sorry.
I will. Let's go back 2 seconds.
And regarding the rules, there is no advertising today. It's all product placement, okay?
Yes.
Good. So thank you for joining us here in Hamburg and online and all over the world. Because I've seen, yeah, you're laughing, but I've seen that there are some from New York. I saw on the LinkedIn profile, so it is more or less all over the world. So what we want to show now is in a hybrid mode. So you are the online guys are all in the Surface Hub, and people here on site. It's not that many we expected, but there are 2 or 3 missing. So we have two audiences, more or less, and we will try to get them together as good as possible. Our agenda is that Sören and me will just introduce ourselves, and then we will start directly with the tool set. Sören will show the test management tool itself. So what what our thinking is, what the test management tool should consist of, and we will show the test runner into Sören. Then we will switch into the end-to-end process or test suites with the end-to-end parameters, which is really a good thing, because I think neither ADO nor Jira can handle that. And to show you how these test cases are working in a proper way with CE, with websites, with Dynamics 365, with the Power App, and internally in the supply chain and warehouse management, we want to show you the 3 use cases where we do the test cases here online and live, and probably find some issues in the test case so that we can create a bug as well. So my name is Sven Mahn. I founded Sven Mahn IT 18 years ago. So it's a grown-up company, and we are here currently in the facility of Arvinger. Arvinger is producing camper vans. If there are some noises behind me, they are still working. I'm not allowed to force them to go out because we have to finish the camper van as well. And we are producing separation toilets, but you can look at Arvinger, and that was the advertising block. So Sören, I will hand over to you. You can introduce yourself, and you will start immediately with the test management. Thank you.
All right. Welcome, everyone. Thank you for being here. Thank you for indulging us here for an hour and a half. My name is Sören. I'm the product owner for our very own test management tool that we've been developing over the past, I think, roughly 18 months. I started in 2012 with Sven Mahn IT, and have been working as a test manager since, I think, early 2014, in a couple of different implementation projects. I've seen a couple of names that I recognize on some of the projects, and some who are at the Arvinger Hall. I've done several implementation projects with several specialties within the testing area, and then about a year and a half ago, I got the chance to also become the product owner for our test management tool, and then use basically the knowledge that I've gathered to help work on this tool. Maybe I'll just start sharing my screen. See if this works. I hope you can see what I can see. Our test management tool is an independent web application that we decided to develop on, to be honest, mainly because developing an extension for ADO has a lot of restrictions, and there was a lot of stuff that we just couldn't do the way that we wanted it to. Sorry, I need to open Teams again so I can see someone and see if there's a raised hand. So that's why in the end we decided to go with our very own web application, be independent of ADO, but still have the option to connect our testing instances to different ADO, and because we're independent, also to different Jira projects. I think I'm going to just give you a quick overview of like the core elements, and then I think we should spend the most time on the actual end-to-end processes to show you how these things work. So as with all testing, the nucleus, the core of everything is, of course, the test case. The test case is modeled after the test kit that we have developed in-house. The test kit is a library of predefined standard test cases for all the different ADO functionalities. And of course, we've modeled our test case in the same way, so we can use the same data and the same information. So if I just open one of those test cases, the test case itself consists of a header which has some general information what the test case is about, some precondition which is not important for the actual test execution, but is very important, of course, for the planning of the test. So you know what are all the things, the setups that I need to do to be able to actually start the test executions. And then we have all the different test steps, which are in terms of our test kit test cases are very high detail, very highly detailed steps that basically describe how you can run through a function that you want to test in your test case. For each test case, we have, of course, the title. Instead of just having the action and the expected result, we have split that up into our very own, I think in English it's called PIPO principle. So instead of just having the action, we split that up into a precondition and an input. Again, precondition, very test step specific things that need to be set up, need to be available in the system so I can execute it. Again, not necessarily important for the actual execution, but when it comes to the preparation of your tests, this is where you can make sure that you document everything that needs to be set up in the system before you start running the system, running the test. Then we have our input. This is basically describing what the tester is supposed to do, where he's supposed to click, what field he's supposed to fill. And then on the result side, we have split up into a post condition and output. So we can on the one side have a description of what the system state is supposed to be after you've done your action, and output to document or to describe what kind of data the system will create and shows on screen. Things like, let's say, a sales order ID that is created by clicking on a save button or on a new button. So we can separate that and have that in separate fields. We also have the option to add screenshots. In our experience, a lot of the testers, at least at some point of our testing process, are rather inexperienced either in the testing process and the testing tool, or maybe sometimes even rather inexperienced in the application that they're supposed to test. Of course, that depends on the level of training they received before testing, but in our experience, it's very helpful. We can show the tester, not only tell them that he's supposed to click on a button, but actually have a screenshot that shows him where he or she can find that button that they're supposed to click on. And then on the other side, for the output screenshot, that just shows this is basically what your screen is supposed to look like at the end of this test step to help the tester evaluate whether or not that step has passed or not. We do differentiate between logical and concrete test cases. So similar to ADO, let me just find the correct step. So similar to ADO, we are using variables. That allows us, of course, to write a test case without knowing what kind of test data we're going to have available in the test system later on. And of course, it allows us to basically reuse those logical test cases for different test plans, different iterations of our testing, and we don't have to like rewrite them or change them up every time. And variables are declared in the same way that you might know from ADO. You put an @ and then follow it with a string of characters, and our system will recognize that this is a parameter that we want to substitute with actual concrete test data later when we are talking about the actual testing. Yeah, that's it about the test case. Let me see if I missed something. Yes, the linking. So let me show you one thing. Since we are independent of ADO and Jira, and so we still, of course, want to have some connection between the test cases and the requirements that we have in our project management tool. So what we did is we have the option to create a link to a system that we are connected on. And this company, I have an ADO project that I'm connected to, and I have a Jira project that I'm connected to. And I can basically say this test case specifically is there to test a specific task. So I just created a dummy task here in Jira. I select it, and I then have the task available, have the link available. You can see that there's a link available on the test case card. And if you click on it and go to the specific link, it will, of course, open the work item in your connected project. And there, please forgive me, I'm not an expert in Jira, but there, of course, you will also see that there's a web link. And that will, of course, bring you back to the test case that you have connected. So you have a kind of two-way to move between the systems. Yeah, all of that is basically part of test planning. You prepare your test cases, you link them to your requirements, and then of course when we want to talk more concrete about the test execution, we have the test plan area, and here we can create our test plans and start to really prepare for the test execution. You can of course, in the same way that you can create new test cases, you can create new test plans. These are basically just a hull that you can use to collect your test cases. So with the plus, you can just say, hey, I want to add these test cases. Let me just add a few, even though it doesn't make sense. These are there for individual testing of each separate test case. So we're not talking about end-to-end testing yet, but just talking about, I have, I don't know, my sprint going on. I have a requirement and I have 4 test cases that I need to test for this, so I can have them here and execute them. In case you have like a large number of test cases and you want to create like a better structure for that, you can create a test suite, which is basically kind of like a subfolder, which just helps you to better structure and organize these test cases. So if you have like a large number of test cases, you might want to have a test suite just for the finance test cases, another one which is for procurement and so on. And you can basically group your test cases by whatever order you want to apply. Yeah, so the last thing that we need to do before we actually start executing the test cases is the test data, which is something that can be quite tricky and it's sometimes very hard to get people to predefine, but in our opinion, it is absolutely elemental to know what test data you want to use before you start testing, to make sure that you cover all the different variations of your test case and all the basically important edge cases that your functionality has. For that, we have a simple form which just has all the variables that we have in the test case. In this case, there are just 2. So it's a very simple test case. We just want to log into our Sören application. So all we basically need is a password and an email address. Just put in something here that we're supposed to use, and just come up with a fake email address. And basically, that is all I need to do to define my test data. Of course, I can create several instances. If, let's say I want to try 3, 4, 5 different sets of test data, I can create those here. And to better identify each test iteration, I also have the option to name them. So I could say this is my whatever positive test. This is supposed to work. And then I have my negative test. This is supposed to not work because the data that I put in here is garbage. We also have the option to assign each of the iterations to different testers in case of that. In some cases, let's say you have the testing of sales orders and you have different departments responsible for domestic and foreign customers. You might want to split up the testing responsibility to different people. And here you're able to do that. You just assign this iteration to, let's say, Sven. And that way he can then test one of the iterations and I'm going to test the other one. That is all in terms of preparation that you need to do. And if you want to start executing the test case, we have this run button here. And if you click the little or the triangle next to it, you can also select which of the iterations you want to start. And then you just hit run. And we're now entering the test runner component of a system, which is there for the tester to actually do the test execution and document the results of that. And here we have all the information that we had in the test case before. For each test step, you can see what is the input that I'm supposed to do. So I'm supposed to go into let me do that here, into a system. Here it looks like it's supposed to look. That seems right. So I can mark it as passed. I'm not supposed to enter the data that I predefined, which we can see here right in the text now. And And I'm supposed to put in a password, which I can just about remember. And in this has also worked. And now I'm supposed to click on sign in, and it's not going to work because that account doesn't exist. As soon as I run into a problem, run into a bug, I can, of course, mark it as failed. And I now have the option to create a bug in this case, or any other kind of work item. So we have this create work item that I have. Maybe I should show you before that. Anytime you want to document anything on a test step, be it for a bug, be it for just to have it documented in the test run, you have a comment field. You can just put in whatever is important to this test step. You can also add a screenshot. Let's see if I think I prepared something. And then, of course, you're able to just create a work item. Again, you can select which project that you're connected to. You want to create this this work item in. Let's say I want to do the bug in Jira again. And here you can not just create a bug. You can basically create any type of work item that is available. On some projects, maybe you don't work with bugs, you're using issues, or you're using tasks, or some self-made work items. That's why we decided to just have a list of all the work items that we pull from the project that are available there, and you can decide which one you want to use. Again, you can put in some additional information, and then you hit save. And it will now create the work item in the background in Jira, which we can see here. And if I was prepared, I had Jira open. Just jump there quickly. And somewhere probably in the backlog, I can now see that I have created a new bug work item. That, so you can see it in its entirety. And that work item, of course, we give you all the information that we could gather from the test run. So you have who executed the test case, what is the test case name, what is the comment that I put in, what is the data that I used for this specific iteration. And then, of course, I have all the test steps with all the information that I need, including any comments that I've made in addition here. That, of course, works for ADO in the same way. It looks the same way, so I'm not going to bore you with that. And once I'm done, I just hit save and close. And now it starts saving all the data in a test run. And basically, we can see on the test card itself that it failed, but also in addition, we have a report. I think that's the one where you can see, as an overview, all the test cases that we have. We can see the results. In this case, we have 2 iterations defined for this one test case. One of them has failed. The other one has not been executed yet. And if you want to drill down into the run itself, you can open it in a separate run report and see in detail what has gone wrong with my test run, including all the comments and screenshots that I've made. And if you want to print that out and send it to someone, maybe not for a fail test, but we've had customers who want to be able to basically export it and send it as part of the test documentation that the test was successful. You can basically export it here into a PDF file. And if I'm looking at the time, I think I'm pretty dead on 20 minutes. That's very quickly just the run of how to create a test case, define data, execute the test case. I think the more interesting part now is when we talk about actual testing of end-to-end processes. This is, of course, an incredibly difficult topic. There's a lot of preparation needed. There's a lot of complexity when it comes to preparing this test scenario. And we spent the last couple of months coming up with a way to hopefully make that easier and make that just easier to do, but also in terms of preparation, but also easier to execute. In this test suite, I've prepared 3 processes, which are the 3 demos that we want to show you in a second. just going to start with one. Sven, is he here? We're going to start with email to inquiry, right? Just nod. Yeah.
Yes, I'm
Okay.
here.
Yeah, let me just show you. So we have our test suite, which is our end-to-end test suite. In there, we have the different test cases that basically make up that process. We can reuse the test cases that we maybe have used before for our component tests and just chain them after one another to basically cover the entirety of the process that we want to test. The process here is very, very simple. We're going to send a message through a website contact form, which will then go into D365 CE, and there we use that inquiry and that queue where the email landed and create a new inquiry from it. To basically make this end-to-end testing more comfortable, we have two main functionalities. So we have, of course, our test cases, and each of the test cases, again, use parameters to basically first have a logical test cases, like the email address, the salutation, and all that. But when we're talking about end-to-end testing, of course, we need to be able to not only define the data throughout the entire process, we also need to be able to hand over data from one test case to another, which is one of the big challenges. So we're going to create let's say a new message using a new email address, and that is the very email address we want to see in our ERP system or in the next system, and we basically want to reuse that. The two things that we did for that is, for one, the mapping of parameters. And I have not mapped anything yet. What you can see here now is the two test cases that we have and all the parameters that are part of those test cases. What I can do now is I can here decide that the parameter email that I'm using, I want to have a end-to-end or global parameter for that. And I want that to be basically the same thing that we used in the other test case, which is also in this case called email. So we just map them together, and that way basically say these are supposed to be the same things, which that allows us to do two things. For one, if we go to the next one, which is the actual declaration of the test data, it allows us to do two things. First of all, if we have created a global parameter, we only need to declare it once, and it will be used in every test case that the variable was basically mapped to. So if we have, let's say, 10 test cases, and each one of them we use the company, so all of our test cases, which you will see in a second, start by switching to the right companies to make sure we're always working in the right legal entity. We don't want to have to declare the variable for legal entity 10 times. We just want to do it once. So we can easily just map those parameters together and declare it once, and we will use in all of those 10 test cases. More importantly now, the other thing that we can do is we can basically just leave it empty. There's some instances where you're going to create a data set which you want to use later on in later test cases. If you have that situation, what you can just do is you still use a parameter in the first test case where the new data set is created. You map them to other variables where you want to reuse that data. And then basically when it comes to the declaration of the test data, you just leave it empty. And during the execution, you will have the option to basically, you get an input field and you can put the data in that you have just created in your test run and then reuse it in the follow-up test cases. Maybe to show you that, I'm going to leave that email field empty. So I'm not going to pre-declare what email I want to use. You will see tests later on where that maybe makes a bit more sense. But just to show you that input field and how that works, we can just leave it empty here. And I think with that, Sven, we might want to go into the actual test execution.
Yeah, just want to highlight this feature because I think that's the really purpose of or the idea of having the ability to take one variable out of the test run, and that's important. During the test run, You have data which is created, purchase order, sales order, whatever. And you can capture that and you can put it into this global variable, I would call it, or end-to-end parameter. And this could be used further on. Even if there is a company account change, you can have the first company account and then you have an intercompany account. It's both a company account, but it's changing. And you can say you declare the two global variables, one for the company, the initial company, and the intercompany company. But in the test case, it's just called company ID. And with this, having this parameter set up, you're able to define which local variable will be connected to what global variable. And that's a complete new ability of having parameters set up. Good. Yeah, to show that in the real life, we will run this test, and we will run this test also hybrid. I will do that here. Whoops, hold on. We will try to do that here on the large screen. So I will share the large screen now. Let's see whether it's working. Yeah, that's good. And we will put that. Yeah, it's prepared for the first test case. And we start with this test case email to inquiry, or it's more or less contact form to inquiry. And I think I have to give you access, Sören. Otherwise, I have to do everything on my own. Can you?
Yeah, I need to somehow click here, I think.
Yeah. Okay.
Something should come up.
Now you can say, do the same as I. Correct? Let's move the mouse.
Yeah, I can start using the screen. All right. So maybe one thing that I of course forgot to mention, since this collection of test cases now represents a process, of course the test cases within need to be executed in the correct order. That's why, of course, for one, ordering is important. You can do that by just drag and drop, but also you can only ever execute the one test case that is basically the next one in line, which at the beginning of a process is the first test case. So you will only see that option to run a test case on the one that is basically the one that is next in line for your process. Otherwise, this whole structure can easily fall apart.
So can you see now both screens or the large screen here now?
I can, yeah. In Teams, I can see everything.
Perfect. And here on site also. So should we start?
Yeah. Do you want me to?
Once on the backside? Good.
Yeah, I'm just gonna click on run, which opens our test runner.
The coincidence between our product management and the name of the product is not a coincidence. It was really meant to be, because he has the best experience of test management in the company, and we thought it's a good way to put it in the market and give this product a face. And you can see both faces here in the background. So let's go. Just tell me what I have to do.
Yeah, we have our first test step, which we already did, is which we want to open the proper website, which is the Awinger English version of the Awinger website. So we already did that. We can mark that as passed. And then
is there a shortcut for the pass, Sören?
No.
No.
We had it in. It caused a lot of problems. We took it out. We're gonna take it back in as soon as we fix the problems.
So it's only a nearly perfect product, not a perfect product.
Yeah.
Good. Perfect.
All right, next up, we want to go to the contact form. And as you can see on the screen, of course, you can click on it if it's too small. You can see basically where that's supposed to be. And once you've done that, you should be in the contact form, which you are, so we can mark that one as passed as well. And now we want to put in the data. And here is the first test step where we didn't declare the parameter for email. So in the text, in input field, you can see that there's still a variable showing. You're supposed to enter @email in the field email address, and below that here you have the input field, and you can basically put in whatever data you are using in this specific test case. Yeah, I'm not gonna, gonna wait for you.
What?
Finish.
You're waiting for me? You have to.
Yeah, I don't know what happens if I start typing in the other field while you're typing.
It will not work, I guess.
Yes, that's why I'm waiting.
Ah, look at this. It was already keyed in. Should we have a telephone number as well? No, we don't
It's
have
not mandatory,
Oh,
so left it out.
Good.
Yeah, so we're using this email address, which is my email address. So we're gonna put it in here. Also will be immediately replaced in the text, but also will be stored in the run and can be used for all the follow-up test cases that we might want to execute. Once we did that, next up, we're going to the checkboxes. You're supposed to check the product information and then the top one for the model and put in the message.
Ah. What kind of message do you want?
It
Hello
says here, hello world. Yeah.
Okay. I've heard that before. Good. Did it?
Our post condition, of course, we are able to fill out the parameters. Yes. So let's mark it as passed. And lastly, we need to scroll down, do the capture, and then click. Yeah.
That's the part of the IQ test, yeah.
Yes.
And check mark here.
Check mark here and click on send message. And then we should get a success. Yep. Yeah, no, we didn't.
Told you. I hate this thing.
Maybe we can try again, and you should get a success.
All
right.
Good.
All right, that's it. That is the first test case. Can then save and close. Two things will happen. For one, we're of course saving all the results that we have created in a test run. And you failed to mark one as pass, I think. I failed to mark one as pass.
Okay, let's bear the responsibility.
Yeah, no, I know what I did wrong. I was supposed to confirm the result, I think. So yeah, okay. I screwed up. This test case is now marked as failed. By our definition, as soon as one of the test steps is not marked as passed, it is failed. So if not, as long as everything is not everything is right, something is wrong, and therefore the test has failed. We're gonna ignore that for now. We have plenty more chances to maybe do it right. And we're going to go to the next test case, which is now the basically we sent a message through a contact form, which will go to a Outlook account and will also be sent to the Dynamics customer engagement application. So first of all, we want to open Outlook and see if the email has arrived.
We have an issue.
Sorry?
The user here on the Surface Hub doesn't have the access.
Okay.
Okay. So that's, but this leads us to another topic, Sören. If you shortly switch back to the suite, we have now the wrong user. The wrong user is running the test case, and if we go back to the suite itself, you can see the tester Sören here is not the right one. So what we can do in the suite, we can really change from the tester to a tester. So it must not be the same, or it could be a different one. Really, with this production user, we have not the appropriate user rights here in Outlook now. But I will have a double check now in my email. I can do that with mobile, but I will not.
Yeah, maybe while you're doing, I can show here the important part is, so the email address we put in during the last test run is now showing here, because that is the email sender that we wanted to look for. So basically, we didn't declare that test data in the beginning of our process. We did put it in the during the run of the first test case, and now for the next test case, which might be executed by a separate person, we can basically reuse that test data. That's how we hand it over from one to the next.
Yeah, without writing it on a board or in an Excel file or a Word document or on paper. What are you doing usually, or a file? Yeah, usually you have this large file and say, this is my end-to-end task. test, and this will be handed over through all the company to get an end-to-end test done. We have that now in the system. That's a good thing here. And I can confirm it looks like here. I can't show you now, but yeah, it's there. You have to trust me.
Yeah, so we can't show it here in the stream, but he did check the email is there, so we're going to mark it as passed for now to be able to continue. And I think you're clicking while I'm clicking, which is maybe not.
We have to centralize one.
Yeah.
Can you pass again? Or should I pass?
No, there, please don't click. Don't click while I'm clicking.
Okay.
Right, I just of course you can manually switch between the test steps if you want to go back. That's of course available, but as soon as you mark a step with a result, we will automatically move to the next test step. All right, next up, we want to open our Abinger Hub, which is the customer engagement D365 instance that the Abinger are using. And we're going to the queue.
Yeah, sorry for the German. I tried last night to change the language, but it took in the UAT already a couple of hours and was not working. So probably someone could help us with that afterwards. But now we have a queue here where all the inquiries come in, and also this inquiry should be in place here. And if I look in the time stamp, I think it is the last one, the inquiry from the English.
The third step is we want to open basically the top inquiry.
Yeah,
and
it did.
Open it. Okay, that worked. And in here, we are going to check if we can find that email address that we used. And of course, it is there. So the flow between Outlook and CE has also worked. And we have basically the message, the hello world message here available. So
let me mark the email address, Sören.
Not if you're clicking on things. I can't.
Yeah, I have to. No,
you have to. You have to copy to the clipboard because we're going to use the next step, which is we are trying to convert it into an inquiry. Hold on, you're going too fast.
No, I should copy the email. That was all. Not?
No. First, we want to open it. Then we want to pass it in.
Yeah, I did.
And does it look like that?
Yeah, okay. I do again. Now it's looking good.
Yeah, so it shows that we don't have a contact already in the system with that email address. So that has worked. And we can now click on the convert, which will lead us to the.
No, I think the test case is wrong here. Sorry, sir. We mixed it up. I have to create the record first. Because the next one is the contact, but doesn't matter. So
yeah, but okay, maybe to highlight that, if of course you can run into that problem during a test execution, and of course we always suggest to document that. You can't create work item without having to mark a test case as a test step as failed. So what you could do, for example, is you could say, hey, someone needs to fix my test case. You can create, maybe because it's not a bug, you want to create a task. You want to say, hey, step 7 is wrong, and just hit save. And that's an easy way to, instead of having to write it like on a post-it and tape it to your monitor, you can just create a quick work item in your system, and basically it's there for someone to work on. All right, maybe we can still just pretend that we can continue.
I will. Contact and should open it.
Yes.
Now it looks like. And the important thing, email address is still on the right side here on the bottom. Email address. That's the email address would be entered in one of the first test cases. So we are heading with this data through the test cases now, through the steps, over the 2 test cases. And
all right, now we want to put in the 3 fields under the Vorname, Nachname, so the name and the salutation.
And then?
And then we're going to pass the step. And why is there an empty test step here? No, then we click Save and Close. That has created our contact.
And in our case, it's not only creating the test case in CE, it's also creating a global contact address or global contact ID, global address book entry in Dynamics 365 F&O. That's one of the reasons why it takes a little bit longer than usually if you only use C. Yeah. Oh, Ludwig, in the video, you should just push it forward then.
Yeah, no worries.
Yeah, we did that, and now we can finally convert. Click on the Konvertieren button, and we should have our inquiry done. Oh, almost done. One more step.
I think there's one last step missing.
Yeah,
afterwards.
yeah. All right, and now in the last step, we're going to see what type of product the contact form was selected, and use it and put it in here into the product field for the inquiry details.
Should I key in already? Yes.
Yeah, I put it in one step, make it easier.
Okay, so
that's the last step.
Yeah. And what we could do now is the chain is not over here usually, but if we want to extend that, that takes probably too much time, and we want to show to another chain. But now it would start to answer the question, answer the email, or have an automated email. You can put that in the test case as well to see whether the ticket number is here in the timeline. You can create a sales order, quote, or whatever out of this inquiry. You can do everything from here. And this is all dedicated to the CRM number at the end. The ticket would be, in my personal opinion, another global variable, which we would put into the test view to have this ticket number for every test step later on. And that's the idea, because ticket numbers are in the test environment or productive test environment where you do the test. You're not testing in the productive environment. This is one of another part where you could have more than one global variable or global parameter, which is necessary to do the fulfillment of the end-to-end test step. Good. And now? All right.
I think we can go on to the next chain, which is the Power Apps D365.
Okay.
Again, we have clicked at the same time.
What happened?
I tried to click on a button while you were.
Let me change the stage here, otherwise it will be. Thank you. So let's see.
Yeah.
I will tell you when I'm finished.
Yeah, sure.
It's not that easy. So now you can see yourself, yeah?
I can see myself,
Still?
yeah. I wish I didn't, but.
What?
Huh?
You didn't look in the mirror this morning, or?
I try not to.
Okay. Let me join now with what? I'm join here. The wrong meeting. So I will join now with the mobile. Please let me in. And I will shut down here my screen, and I will now. That's a good question. If Lona, could you put me into the spotlight, please?
Yes,
Is that working? No, if I share and you share, no, it's not possible now.
It should be if you turn off the camera on the hub and I turn off my camera, then we should see only you in the bottom right.
I have to share. But if I share, you can't see the test cases anymore. That's the issue. we mixed that up this morning. But so let's show the create order in Power App so that we walk through these steps, and then I will share my my screen of the mobile, or I will sign in as a Power App here. Then it's easier. Let me.
I'm not touching it.
Good. Oh, I should tell you when I'm. Hopefully, I'm logged in. Or it's again like 2 weeks ago that I have to introduce my password for everyone. Lone, you can take me out of the spotlight. I think it's better to have this shared screen.
Yes.
Thank you. Sorry. So we take the chance to go to the UAT environment. I'm not just canceling the meeting here. We are at UAT. So what we are now doing is the process of using the Power Apps and doing the test with the Power App. We have created an app to be able to do sales in trading fairs. I'm not sure. Everyone is probably aware of creating sales orders in Dynamics is good if you are in your business on the desktop. But if you're on the trading fair, you want to be fast because the customer is standing in front of you and want to have the items immediately, want to do the payment, and then they are fine. And what we did, we created a Power App for these sales orders on the trading fair. And we do now the test case for the Power App itself, so that we're testing the input and see whether the flow behind is creating the sales order at the end, like expected. And the idea is that one of the parameters, if you look at this, the customer ID, we usually create new customers at the trading fair. We create them out of our ID, which is stored in the Power App. It's an ID from the table. So, Sören, can you just go to the...
I want to just check if the parameter mappings are there. So it's a very simple test case. We're going to use the Power App. We're going to create a new data set, and that will give us an ID from the Messe ID, it's called in German, from the fair. And I go to the parameters. I think I have declared everything that I need. Yes. Right. So we can start with the first.
We start now entering the Power App. I was trying to use that with the mobile, but it's in a hybrid meeting, it's not possible because otherwise one will not see. So the screenshots are from my mobile. You see there's a button of this Messe app. You can put your Power App on any part as a shortcut on the mobile, which is really, really nice. You can have also the different environments. If you have a UAT app or a product app in the environment, you can have both on your screen and you can rename them so that you can find them. So I started now virtually the Power App, but not on the phone. I started it here, and I'm intended to click on the plus to create a new record.
All right, and once you do that, we of course fill in the fields. Just for simplicity's sake, I just used the email address for input. Of course, you would maybe want to declare all of the different fields as variables, but that would just take time. So put in email, put in something, and
there are some mandatory fields.
You should know that.
Yeah, I know. And yes, one could do this with Power Apps in a better way, but this took me only, I think, 3 hours to create that one. And nothing is better than the, what do you call it in German? It's nichts ist beständiger als das Provisorium. So I don't know the English word. I think it's the same, or The product is already there as well, or is it the next step?
I didn't declare it here. You
Okay.
can choose whatever you want.
Oh, thank you. Also the price?
Yeah.
And the payment methods are cash in the Tash. And we will create that. And now what should we do?
Once we've done that, we we click on the what is it called? Check mark at the top.
Yeah. And now you could, if I do the video a little bit slower, you could see very long the ID, but in the Power App itself, you will see it's not there. So we have to click here to get the Messe ID. It's 1020, and in the background it will be now a new created customer account, and this customer account should have this ID, and this ID we key in as a Messe ID here in the test case.
Exactly. So we can start looking for it then in the next test case. So that worked. This is the last of the test steps, and we can save and close. All right. So first test case is done. We're jumping to the next test case, which is the 365. We're going to check and see if the record was transferred properly.
I open Dynamics. Oh, the other Dynamics.
All right. So we'll start with Dynamics. This is one of, I think, this is one of our, I don't know if it's one of our test cases. Yeah, we want to start with making sure we are in the right legal entity. So we're going to open up that dropdown, especially if you're in testing environments. You might have several companies available, but just one actually has data in there or has stock for testing. So in our test cases, we always want to make sure you're in the right company. That's why the first couple of steps are always about changing the company, which I will skip here because we're obviously already in the right company. And then we should open the navigation pane and go to accounts receivable.
Yes.
There we go to all sales orders.
Oh, and now?
And now we start looking for a sales order which has a very specific a customer account, which is 190, followed by the Messe ID we put in the first test case. You can either just scroll down or you search for it, however you want to do. We start looking for it, and once you've done it, you open the sales order by clicking on the sales order ID.
So what we now did is two things. First of all, we took the Messe ID and we moved that forward in the test case itself. The second thing is we used the variable to extend the variable because we have a prefix in our flow, which is extending the Messe ID to become a unique custom ID. And we can handle that in the test cases itself as well, just by creating in the prefix and then putting in the Messe ID. You could have done that also extended by creating a variable and call it prefix for the given company account. Probably have different prefixes for different company accounts, and then you can connect it to the company account. So you can also put variables to each other in the test case itself to show that. And to use that data later on in different test cases as well. Now I would key in the sales order as a
What I did, I could totally miss that there was an input field here to avoid that from happening. That someone just forgets to put in the right number. Basically, if you try to leave a test step where you have a field still to fill out, we give you a little remember me. So you can put in the sales order here. Let me just do that. If I can identifier. What is it? 725.
Yeah,
And
correct.
hit continue and go on to the next step.
Yeah,
If
the
you
next-
still try to skip that, you can do that. We didn't want to make it mandatory. If you're trying to basically finalize a test run and still have fields that are not filled, we will remember you last time. But at some point, we just didn't want to force you to have to do it if for some reason you just want to see the steps, make sure everything looks good instead of actually wanting to execute it. All right, last step is we go back to the dashboard. This is just the end for all our test cases. So we always start in the same spot and where we then end. And with that, the second process is done, I think.
Yeah. So I will readjust here the stage because now we need that. So
yeah. So while Sven is rearranging the screen a little bit, the last process we want to show you is the first two steps of the procure to pay process, which is used by the Arvinger here in-house, which starts with the creation of a purchase order. And then in the next step, we want to show the actual receiving of the goods using the mobile device. And for that, Sven is going to put on his Hololens so he can basically show you what he sees when he uses the actual mobile device for the test run. But we are still starting in D365.
you can start with the purchase order if you want. I think it's fine. Very easy declared in the test case because I have to start the Hololens here.
All right. So right here we have, of course, more than just two test cases. We're not going to go through all of them just because of time. But basically, we create the purchase order and then we're going to receive the goods. And from there on, of course, the process would go on with the product received and so on and so on. So we're going to start with the first test case. Again, we have the changing of the legal entity to make sure we are in the right spot, which, of course, if you're running this as a process, the legal entity, most of the time is going to be the same throughout the process, but maybe not necessarily always. So we're going to skip that for now. Let's see if I can actually navigate that here. Oh, and we're gone. No, we're back. Sven, I think we're in the wrong. Is this CE? Can't see it.
No,
You're correct.
You have to mute one of yous. One of the things here.
Okay, go just one
back.
No, you have to mute either the HoloLens or
Mute. Danke. Wird besser?
yeah, I can just one. Oh, there we are. Okay, I'm just You want to go to accounts payable? Did I lose my?
Hopefully not.
No, wait, hold on. I'm gonna request control again. I think you have to confirm that I can use the screen again because. Okay. Maybe you should do it. Might be a bit screwed right now.
Okay, I put that on top, so don't look at the part here on the.
Yeah. I mean, you could maybe for now just put the D365 completely on the right and cover the HoloLens part.
So now it's part and so go ahead.
Do you want to maximize the D365 or gonna be pretty small otherwise?
Yeah.
We
Just
do.
for this.
Oh. Better?
Yes. Okay.
Good. Go ahead.
Accounts payable, we're going to assume all purchase orders.
Go ahead. Ah, yeah.
We're going to create a new record. Once you hit new, we already see the purchase order number we're creating. So I can put it in here in the input field. Maybe if I was able to type. So this is the record we are creating. We can click on pass. Now select the correct vendor.
I did.
Fills out a couple of fields, and we're going to click on OK, which should bring us to the purchase order details. And now in here, which is going to be tricky in the line, we're going to fill out a couple of things. Basically, we're filling out the item. One thing we're still working on, as you can see, Sven has to now type all these values. It would, of course, be cool to just be able to click on the value we see on the left, which would copy to the clipboard, and you can just put it in from the clipboard there, but that's still in development.
And available, huh? Yeah, looks good.
Yeah, AVA.
I'm fine.
You're done. All right. Then we go to the purchase tab.
Yeah.
And we're clicking on generate for confirmation, which is grayed out.
Yeah, because it hasn't been saved so far, or?
I don't know. You can click save and. So this is, of course, the moment we would create a bug. Something doesn't work in the way we expected. Maybe something's wrong with the data. Maybe something's wrong.
I know what's wrong.
The test case.
I created a kernel. The setup of this purchase order in the UAT is wrong. We should have done a purchase order. Then we can confirm. I changed it.
Yeah.
Sorry.
But of course, you know, if you're a tester, you don't know that. So at that point, creating a bug and exiting might be the only thing you can do. But here we can do a quick fix. You finished the?
I'm finished. Yeah. I have to confirm. Sorry.
Yes, you click on confirmation, and then in this test case, we also want to show the confirmation on screen, print it to screen.
Yeah, I did the other button. I know it better.
Okay. Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah.
So
the row of
the testers you like, or sir?
That's how it works. It's just a suggestion. All right, and at the end we go back to the dashboard, and then we're done.
So.
Oh, hold on. Click. Is it? All right, next up, we have the actual receiving of the goods. This is why Sven has put on his Hololens. And we're going to start with the Arvinger tools.
Yeah, first of all, I have to come back because I was kicked out. But Arvinger tools, I can start here. That's very easy. No, it's not easy. Here are the Arvinger tools.
Yeah.
We have to log in, or?
I'm gonna go back to the login screen, yeah.
I will log out first, and then I can log in. First of all, I have to come back to the meeting, otherwise Yes. Please let me in.
But I did lose the shared control again.
Yeah, I know. And
So I'm requesting it again, and you have to mute yourself here.
that's the tricky. So the quest, okay. And I need the mobile device, huh?
We're starting in the Arbenger tools. You want to go
Okay.
to the Arbenger tools and log in,
I am.
because we need information from there, of course.
Log in, I need the appropriate user, and as we have a very easy thing here, we just log in with the password. Yeah. Okay.
That didn't work.
No. Oh, luckily we are not capturing it.
No one saw that. Okay.
And we will change that afterwards. Okay, we did.
We did. Then we want to go to the goods in part, the Wareneingang, as we say in German.
Yeah, even this is not translated, the Arbenger tools, because we are only German people. And
Of
now
course,
we are
now,
searching.
yeah, we're searching for the purchase order number that we have created in UC65, which you can see, I think, on the top right screen now. And we want to open that. And here we have the
Sorry,
purchase order, and now we want to log into the. Now we want to log into the mobile app.
So we are logged in.
All right, and of course you want to be able to compare to see, okay, is this screen what we're expecting? Of course, the screenshots were captured using the Windows Store application, so it looks a little bit different, but the information in there is identical. You could say, okay, we're logged in. We are in the goods in part. We want to click on the button Wareneingang. Okay, we can confirm that. And we want to click on the registration and storage, so Registrierung und Einlagerung. And again, you can, of course, if you need to increase the screenshot size to be able to compare with what you're seeing in your mobile device. Okay, that worked. And now we're going to start actually the registration. So now we're scanning the purchase order number from the Arbenger tools, which should now get us to the scanning of the item, which I think is what we're seeing here.
Yeah, I think so.
And then we're going to scan the item, which we used in the purchase order. And we are in the Mengeneingabe, so enter the quantity, and we want to enter the quantity of 1, which we declared in the first test case. And we should be in the overview screen where we can see all the data that we have. And we can now double check that the data is correct and confirm that. And it should show us where to put that piece that we received. So now we're going to see, hopefully, the storage location that we're supposed to bring it to. It's just loading. Can you get it closer? Are we seeing the right thing? Yeah, prot minus KTT. It's just not blurry at all.
So I have to go, yeah?
Yeah, now you have to bring it to the right spot in your warehouse. And then confirm it.
Okay. Now you can hear me and see, and we put it to prod KTT, which is our production area. And here I will just confirm that it's, and the green bar showed me that we were right.
Yeah, of course, if you want to do that in a real test scenario, you maybe want to have like a tablet with you while you're running around at the warehouse.
Yeah, or a HoloLens. It's working. I will take the normal.
All right. So we have. Oh, I lost my. You need to click pass on the last one.
Yeah.
Because now you need to. Of course, you go back to the main screen on your warehouse app, and confirm pass, please. And then you can click save and close because I lost my thing again.
Only once I have learned save and close. Not
we fixed that. We fixed that. All right.
Good.
Of course, now we would go back to D365 and do the rest of the process, but we wanted to show you how you can use basically any device to connect between devices and you do all that and use it for your process testing.
Will you just have a look on the results, or is it we already have shown the reports and we are good time? It's 20 past, so we have 10 minutes as expected for questions and comments. And
I cannot show you that because I need to. Let me request again control.
Okay, good. Then I will stop sharing here and like to have some questions.
Maybe I can go down, right?
There was a question in the chat from Marita. Let me read it. How do you handle a constellation where you need sometimes to complete every test step, but sometimes like to skip some steps?
Sören is coming down the stairs, and I think we will discuss that then. So
yeah, that is something we have thought about. We haven't been able to implement yet. For now, a process basically requires you to fill out every test step and every test case in the process. But it's something we work on. It's not easy to have like optional steps or even optional test cases or have like branching off. Right now, you would basically create different suites for the different variations of the process test and running that.
But the functionality could be like skip test step and store it not as a past.
The problem I think is to basically have to declare that and still make it make sense in the overall reporting. Yeah. That in some cases we don't need certain steps. Yeah.
So it could be.
Yeah, we have thought about it. It was too hard for now, so we pushed it to later.
But we have a roadmap there at the end.
Do we?
But question fine so far?
Yeah,
or the answer?
Was the question answered?
Yes, thank you.
Okay, good. Okay. If somebody else has a question, please unmute yourself and just ask your question. Now is the chance. Yeah.
So crystal clear, the processes and everything. That's fine.
Søren, how long time are you using on every update on the test now that you are so far as you are?
Sorry, didn't get the question.
How long time? Every time there's an update, you're doing this test. How long time are you using to finish the test and validate that you are ready to go live on the new update?
It depends on the functions and the features or updated. We are here doing the tests. I think it would take 2 to 3 hours when we do the testing here for us. running the test cases we need, because we are only testing really the core test, the core thing, nothing more. It depends really on the size itself for the company.
So you don't have a lot of development also?
We don't.
Okay.
Here in Arvingen, for Arvingen, no, we don't have.
Okay.
We're using a different thing for documentation or for the documents, which is the docs part. And all other things are mostly or mainly in standard. I think,
Okay.
or we try to use the Power App approach, so that we follow the Microsoft approach here, and to either do it in the standard way or follow this part there. We will switch to PFE now as well. We haven't done that. We want to do that for the toilet production. Because we will have some extensions there, or we have to produce more. It's increasing currently, and this some people will call it a nifty gadget. For me, it's really a cool thing, the Hololens, because in the PFE you can start also the guides, and this is a connection I really like. If you have new people in the production, you can just start the guide from there, and you have both hands free, and you can assemble the toilets. And we will start with the PFE now, and hopefully in 2 months we will really run also all for every series of the toilets. We will have the guides in place here. So these are the kind of things, and we started using more and more the standard here.
Okay, interesting.
Was another chat?
Yeah.
I think it's just people sharing LinkedIn profiles. But after you have done the, sorry?
Yeah, okay.
Okay, after you have done the test of 2 to 3 hours, do you then hand over to business, or is it IT that then checks the test? I mean, you do the test, but do you hand over to anyone else to check?
Here at Arvingen, to be honest, we have 15 people, and and I'm running the business here, so I'm sitting myself here. That's the reason why Sören knows about my ability to do the test. Probably not along the test cases, but so I'm really the worst tester in the world, because I do it like I want, and this is an issue. Because if you want to show it and if you want to do it correct, you have to follow the test case. And if the test case is wrong, like we had earlier in the test case, you should really raise it, because even if we are small, something can be, I can test it because I think it's the best way to do the test, but it's not probably the expected result at the end. So this is a danger at the end. Yeah? So, and that's the reason why we have Sören.
And at the end of the day, it is your documentation that things worked fine, and you decided to go live. And then, like a month later, someone runs into a problem. You can always point back to that. But of course, if someone then works like next to the test case or doesn't follow it correctly, you no longer have that certainty that it worked the way it was documented. You can pinpoint to a document saying this is what you said works right.
For me personally, gamification would help. So if I could collect some stars or some diamonds whenever I find a bug, that would be really perfect to get this. And you found 100 diamonds this week, so you're really cool. So probably something we put in place.
That's what we did when I was a test manager. When we had like candies for everyone that had finished testing correct. So
okay, I tested too much. That's the reason.
Yeah. Okay.
Good. Any further questions, comments?
I think it's only LinkedIn profiles in the chat, and we also shared your profiles, so people can reach out to you.
Of course, if you have questions in the next week or at some point, you can contact us anytime. Any feedback, of course, is highly appreciated.
And just sign up for the trial. It's possible to get the trial. Just do it. Just go to Sören.app and then just sign up for a trial. It's not costing anything then. And just do it and test on yourself.
Thank you very much for taking the time to do this.
Yeah, it was a pleasure for us, and I think we will see, or I hope we see many of you on the 25th of May. Because I think this meetup is not only for presenting things like we did now, it's also for discussions. Yeah, and the last 2 meetups we made now But I think the discussions could be more.
Yeah. Yeah.
But we will do that on the 25th then. So we will discuss more.
We need more online beer to loosen the tongue.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, Jan is not with us today, so so we don't have the usual beer to say hi. But it was really a pleasure that you made it, and at some point I will definitely stop by your office to see what you are doing.
Just do it. You're highly welcome.
And Sven, I saw that that there was actually issues with the trains again today. If you want to go to Hamburg, I just saw that on.
So I'm going to Cologne tonight with the camper van, so I miss my train.
Yeah, yeah, and if you get the chance, and if you go out and see Sven's camper, I saw it last weekend. It's amazing. I think Ludwig and we are going to apply for one like that, so we can get around.
Yeah, we have to put it to lease plan so that Microsoft employees can join that and buy that. That would be perfect. I would be there. Tell me who I can connect to.
Yeah, that's definitely not us. So.
I will be in Cologne tomorrow and Sunday. So if someone wants to visit us in the Galopprennbahn. What is it in English? Ostrich. Ostrich, yeah. Ostrich in Cologne. So if someone wants to bet on something, just join us there. And we will have beer there, on-site beer.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. I think we're perfect in time, huh?
Yeah.
I will stop the recording then, yeah?
Yeah.
That has been recorded on.